Well, hey, this is a treat and all to itself. I'm going to say this much. I'm here hosting the show. So, I mean, for this prediction show. So, why not, right? I am proud to pronounce, and I was going to say this to you, Joe. What you guys do at Love Wrestling is awesome. What you and Pluggo do is awesome. And I appreciate everything you guys do. I'm a huge supporter of you guys. And, it's a great to have a fellow masshole finally on screen at once. I joke around with nicknames and stuff like that, and I thought of one as the Mayor of Massachusetts Wrestling.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I don't know if that's necessarily true though, but yeah, I mean, I would take it. It would be an honor, But no, I'm excited to be here. I know we've been trying. I know you've always been supportive of me and Pluggo and, Between Two Beards and just love wrestling as a whole. So we're grateful for you and how you're always in the chat and you have good opinions and things like that. So I know we've been trying to get on a show together. So I'm happy that we could finally get it done. And yeah, I'm excited to be here.
It's going to be interesting too, because this card is still in development. I feel like a little bit.
Yes, I agree.
And it's got some moving parts on it, but it still will be fun regardless. I mean, like a lot of people say nowadays, WWE is more like a pay-per-view show than a weekly show, whereas AEW is the polar opposite of that. So,
yeah, I would agree.
But we'll get into all these picks and stuff like that, but what are your expectations of the tournament? I haven't gotten a chance to actually physically sit down in front of you, or we're in the same state, but I haven't actually got a chance to sit down and talk to you on screen or just in general off screen about your thoughts of this tournament, because obviously Pluggo's all like outpick Pluggo.
I mean, I'm not scared of Pluggo. I'm not scared of anybody. So my predictions for this tournament is I am going to destroy everyone.
Basically, the Roman Reigns thing, wreck everybody.
I'm gonna try. Yeah, I got the insightful beard, so I'm going to, people are going to need to acknowledge me when this tournament is over. That's all.
Well, I mean, it's not that hard to acknowledge you because of the fact that how great you are, and
I appreciate that,
and how much insightful you are with a lot of stuff. Like I was even telling one of the techs I work with, if you had to rate the people, and this is specifically my opinion, honestly, and this is from Massachusetts, my perspective.
Get the hometown backing,
Yeah, that out of the three people that are content creators that I'm aware of, I'm like the third one on that totem pole. I'm not up to the level of a lot of stuff. And what you and Ed know more so is like, I like enjoy watching that, and me watching my own stuff, I cringe.
Well, I think everybody kind of does. I'm going to be honest. Like, I haven't been doing this long at all. You've been doing it way longer than me. I've only been doing it since about March or so, mid-March. April maybe. So like it's still kind of new for me. But yeah, dude, I barely like I know as I'm going hit my mic, rookie. I know as I'm going through like the show, whether like I'm like, oh, this is going off well, like this is we're grooving here. Like I have that feeling when I'm doing it, but I almost never go back and listen or watch because I know I'll be too much of I'm too competitive. Too competitive, and I know I would be way too harsh a judge. I would critique myself more than I should, and then it would not go well. It would not go well. So
yeah, I mean, it's the same way with me. It's like you kind of just nitpick everything too.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than like you outgoing everything, with the idea of this tournament in general was to bring everybody together, like with everything going on.
Yeah,
everybody's been going through hell recently too, so this is like a positive thing.
Yeah, it's always fun to chat wrestling with people. You know what I mean? It's always fun, and when you're doing picks and have a little bit of a contest, like it's fun. It's all in fun.
Well, and also, it's like, why not put stakes on it? Let's let it make it competitive. Everybody does prediction shows, but you're predicting something, but there's no stakes to it. So I felt like might as well change it up.
Yeah.
But you guys got big things coming down the pike anyways, and I'm excited to see what you guys do at Love Wrestling, and also with Between Two Beards. It's an interesting thing. And that's why like a lot of times like I'll go straight from my show to you guys and just sit and watch and stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll get into this card a little bit and stuff. I've got Steven Jensen's picks, and we'll go from there, and we'll talk about all this stuff. And then, maybe talk about Massachusetts wrestling if you have a couple extra minutes or so.
Yeah.
So what's your expectations of this pay-per-view overall?
I feel like okay. So I, like most people, WWE has not really jived my bones for the last little bit, right? The matches are still good. I still love a lot of the talent, but the booking hasn't been good for a while, with the exception of the Roman Reigns. There's a couple other things. RK Bro has been good, certain things like that. But all in all, I'm tired of the rematches. I'm tired of the, distraction finishes, like what feels like almost every match, like things like that.
The 50-50 style kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the 50-50 booking. You don't build anybody that way. Like I think one of the people that they've built the best recently has been Damian Priest. And the reason why they built Damian Priest and he feels like he might become a star is because he wins every week. He doesn't win one week and then the next week get distracted by music and get rolled up and look like a moron and then win the week after so everything's okay. Like, no, not everything's okay. That's not an okay way to book people. But with that being said, the pay-per-views are always pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, regardless of the journey,
a lot of times.
Yeah, like regardless of how the journey is, the actual pay-per-views are usually pretty damn good. So I would say I have pretty good hopes that the show is going to be entertaining. The matches will be good. I still don't think we have all the matches yet. I feel like
there's bits and pieces missing.
Yeah, I feel like there might be a couple added before we get to Sunday. But all in all, I expect it to be good. I expect it to be Becky Lynch and Bianca. That's going to be amazing. That's going to be amazing. Roman and they're doing the Demon now, but Roman and Balor, that's going to be amazing.
And the funny part is the Demon aspect of it. Literally, you didn't think they would bring it out for Roman. You would think of like Ray or something bigger or something like that. So, but
and we'll get it. We're going to talk about picks, so we'll get into it. I'll save it.
Well, somebody put his 2 cents in. Like I said, if you
you go ahead. It's your show. I'm sorry.
It's ours right now. This tournament's about us. This was especially with everything with mental health and stuff. I think this is a ray of sunshine and all this. And Pluggo, if you have the cojones, like I said to you on Twitter, to come on, you're more welcome to spit some fire, considering you did do the same thing with Spencer. So I mean, you're not in the clear with this one. Sorry, man.
Pluggo better be praying that Jensen upsets me. And yes, I would call it an upset. I respect Steven Jensen. He's awesome at what he does, but I'm winning. I'm winning tonight.
Yeah. So. Jensen's awesome. And we'll plug all that stuff too. Especially the Weekender, which is really good also. We'll get right into these picks and we'll start with yours and then I'll read off Jensen's and stuff like that. And you did go right into the first one I wanted to talk about. The pay-per-view is coming up on Sunday at 7:00. So we start with the Universal title matchup, Roman versus Finn. Do you really think that the Demon was pulled out too early and they should just save the Demon for something special, or they're just doing this too quickly like they do with Bray and stuff like that?
Well, my main question when it comes down to it is if the Demon loses, the Demon's dead, right? The Demon doesn't matter anymore, correct?
Yeah, to me at least, yeah.
Yeah.
It loses its luster.
He's losing on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
That's at least what I think. I don't expect Roman to lose that title anytime soon.
Yeah.
Anytime soon. And when I say anytime, I'm talking well into next. If they're planning for The Rock, not next year, but the year after, I don't think they have the person on the main roster right now, at least not from a booking perspective, that is ready to beat Roman. If anybody was close, it was Big E, I thought.
Yeah, I agree.
But they moved him to Raw, which is perfectly fine. Perfectly okay with that. I love the New Day being back together and him I love that. But I thought Big E was the only person that I could see potentially beating Roman now. Yeah, I don't foresee Roman losing. So I think the Demon loses, and then I think that might be see you later to the Demon. I don't know how anybody would be ever scared of the Demon again if Roman just beats the Demon.
Yeah, for me, and I'm obviously on the same boat with everybody in this. And Steven even said that he was going to pick Roman for this. But for me, the Demon will lose its shine. The idea of being it like once a lifetime attraction. It's like, let's say, The Rock comes in as Dwayne Johnson and just comes back as that, just like, happy go lucky kind of thing. And then all of a sudden he brings The Rock, like the hardcore edgy kind of thing, like he does, and say Austin, like back then Austin beated The Rock but couldn't beat Dwayne. It's just it loses its shine a little bit, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. And the Demon's the thing that Balor goes to win, like to win. Like that's where he goes, like his dark place, to bring the extra out of him to win. Yeah. And if he doesn't win when he goes to that place, then that place isn't scary anymore. So you know what I mean? Like
what this, and perfectly having you on, is that considering, did you go see the Auditorium show?
At the NXT one with Samoa Joe?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Do you, and I've asked my friends this, and I figured I'd ask this, and I'm going to ask Ed this too, because I think he went to it also. Do you think that since Finn hasn't lost a match as the Demon, I think he hasn't ever as the Demon on the main roster, do you count that show in lull, him losing the NXT title to Joe?
No, he wasn't the Demon. He was just Finn Balor. Yeah, he wasn't the Demon for that. So that was just a random. Yeah, no, he wasn't the Demon. So he's never lost as the Demon. I don't know if he did. I know he's been painting his face in New Japan. Like I don't know if he lost. I'm assuming maybe he did. I don't know. Because I think he painted himself like all the time over there, or a lot more often. But yeah, no, he's never lost as the Demon. So if the Demon loses on Sunday, which I think. That's my prediction. I think it's going to probably be most people's predictions like that. Unless you're planning on doing something completely different, like that basically ends the Demon, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, but do you think there would be another time? They could always be another
time. They could always bring it back. Like it's still a cool thing, but like the luster of it is gone forever. Like it's not going to mean, it'll just be there for like, oh, this is cool. He looks awesome.
Yeah, it's like the whole thing with the Firefly Funhouse originally started. So, but it's going to be a good matchup anyways. These two guys are workhorses in their own right and stuff. If this match was like a Hell in the Cell match and he brought the Demon out, that would be even more interesting because there'd be a higher physicality. But we'll find out soon enough. And like I said, Jensen's got Roman to win, like a lot of people do. Yeah. We did touch about, and I kind of segue a little bit this. Why don't we talk about the Raw Women's Championship? Charlotte mini belts versus Alexa Paranoid Activity, as my friend calls it. I think for me personally, with this match, it's very intriguing how they're building it a little bit.
Yep.
Oh boy, here he comes.
Is he hopping in?
Your cohort right there.
Look, JPJ. Look,
bro.
My kid's dinner.
Are you?
Smack.
I'm not, bro. You hopped in the chat, man. I'm not talking. You hopped in the chat.
I don't. Oh, hello. I don't talk.
Is he above you?
Speak truths. Pluggo outpick everyone. Don't care if it's JPJ, Steve.
That's fine.
Carly.
Hi.
Pluggo outpick everybody.
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah, but like I said earlier, you better be praying.
I'm like
that Jensen beats me because you have no chance. You have no chance if it's you and me.
Oh, brother. This is a champ right here.
What do you cook? Wait, what? Time out. The real question is, what are you cooking your kids for dinner?
Roast pizza.
Nice. Oh yeah, pizza. That's right, pizza.
Only the finest cuisine for Pluggo's kids.
Hey, whatever. I love pizza.
He's pizza. I'm on daddy duty today, but I wanted to stop by and wish you boys a hell of a show.
Well, thank you, sir.
And it don't matter if you win or not. Next round, it's over.
Well, yeah, okay. We'll see. If it's me, it's going to be quick for you. It's going to be quick for you.
Just ask Spencer how that went last time.
I am, when it comes to picks, a different level. Different level. I'm Bret Hart. He's Shawn Michaels. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, boy. Here we go. Whoa. He's gonna watch this and he's gonna message me. Oh God! And the thing is that I'm the one who has the office on this whole thing. But like I said,
Pluggo's getting attacked.
On an off day.
Yeah, and like I said, somebody still has to finish his obligations for that Brock deal he signed.
It's true.
As you can see,
Pluggo's being a dad. Pluggo's being a dad right now.
Hey.
Don't let your kid burn himself on the pizza.
Hey, who do you got winning Extreme Rules? Finn Balor or Roman Reigns? Oh, you kiss me?
I did that.
All right.
Yep.
All right. I had to stop in and say, JPJ, I'm watching, so be careful.
All right. I'll be ready.
All right.
You better prepare. Next round.
All right. Love you, boys.
Later.
Bye, bud. You knew that was going to happen eventually. He would have put his 2 cents.
He is never
he's a good
stops
dude.
that guy. Yeah, he's a good one, but never stops that guy.
But back to what we were saying, I think they built this up a little bit interestingly compared to past Raw Championship builds, just because of the fact that Alexa is and I'll use this in an old school saying, is that she's kind of like a younger version of Taker, where the psychological aspect of it was being used, and obviously they're using dolls and stuff, and you want to use the urn as an idea, where Lily is a different idea, and vice versa. I think, and I'm going to probably be the only one in this camp that will do this, but I think Alexa's going to do it. I think it's well overdue. It's time for her to get into that next gear, and I think because Charlotte's been the flag bearer for this title for so much, and in 2 weeks, I won't be shocked if they put all 3 of the horsewomen that are active right now on the same brand, because Fox is probably going to clamoring for more star power, because it seems like they're loading up SmackDown a lot more. That I wouldn't be surprised if Alexa holds down the Raw Women's title for probably up till Mania, and then they do something where she has no choice but to, kind of like what Bray did. He had to convert himself into a certain character. And that's an interesting fantasy booking, but that's a different a show for that. But I think this was something that a lot of people are not seeing as, like, they think Charlotte's going to win. Charlotte always wins. She is the Roman Reigns of the Raw side for the women's division, kind of. Mm-hmm. But I think Alexa is well overdue for this. Her last title reign was about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I think it's well overdue that she holds that belt and not do with what Nikki Cross did. I know she's Nikki ASH, but still, she's always going to be Nikki Cross to me. But doing a longer run, and instead of passing it back to somebody, because it's a knee-jerk reaction to it. What are your thoughts on this match?
I'm excited about the match. I like the last couple matches that Alexa has had. They actually let her wrestle. Like, she's wrestling in them. She still does the supernatural stuff here or there, but it's not, the whole match isn't dominated by it, which is what we kind of saw early on, which was why I was kind of kind of in the middle of the character. I do like the build. I loved the promo. Then it was in the Boston Raw. I wasn't there, but it was at the Boston Raw. But I loved the promo where she gave Charlotte the doll, and she called her self-centered bitch or whatever she said, whatever. I thought that was a great promo. And Alexa is very worthy of that. She was a great champion multiple times, SmackDown, Raw, all of them. And I think some people might forget that a little bit. Like, she's really good. She's really, really good.
People sleep on her a lot too, and don't give her because it's also, like how the old saying goes, give the devil its due. Yeah, which is kind of ironic. We're talking about Alexa about like this, but it's interesting because people sleep on her a lot, and it's ridiculous. I mean,
well, it's because the way she sorry to interrupt you, but it's because ever since she lost her last title, which I think the last time she held it, she lost it to Rousey, I want to say, right?
Yeah, she
did. That's like 3 years ago. And ever since then, she's been booked like, I don't know if I can swear, but she's been booked like crap. So people, yes, they still know Alexa Bliss is a big name. She's popular. She seems like a great person. Like she's supported a lot. But on the television screen for wrestling fans, she hasn't been booked like a former multi-time women's champion. She's been booked like a mid-carder, you know what I mean? She hasn't been, she hasn't been booked to that level all the time. You know, like when any of the 4 horsewomen don't have the titles, most of the time they're still booked like they're superstars, you know? Everyone else, no. You get your shine, and then if it doesn't work out, you're back down here. You're back down here. We don't care about you anymore, you know?
Yeah, and it's ridiculous too. And this is what I'll ask Ed also, because and if your guys watching, Ed Fries will be with us on the Wicked Crazy Pinfalls on Thursday. The thing is that, do you think it's also because a lot of people look at, analytics and stuff like that? And what I mean by it is that Charlotte has held the NXT title, basically every women's title in there. Bayley has. Sasha has. The only title that Becky hasn't held is the NXT title. And Alexa's in the same boat as Becky. Do you see, like, they give Becky higher praise over Alexa, but if you think about it, with all these belts and titles, they're basically the same thing.
From a purely statistical standpoint, yeah. But when you're talking about like Becky before she left was the most popular person on the roster, male or female, like the most popular person on the roster. And Alexa at her height, while being one of the most popular people on the roster, was never the top. Like Becky went to like a different stratosphere. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of what separates them. I just feel like, and they kind of do it with Asuka too. Like when Asuka was the champ, Asuka's been dominant, a champion, but when she isn't involved, she's barely even on the show. So it's just like, I don't know. It's just the way they do things over there. It's fine. I still watch it every week. Like I'm still a fan. These are not critiques saying I hate it. These are critiques because I want it to be better. Like
you want to improve it, yeah.
Like I don't want it to be. Yeah, I want, if I'm investing my time to watch your show, I want you to make my time worth it. And I feel like they just don't. They mail it in, and it bothers me.
Yeah.
But for this match, we got off topic there, but
it's fine though. That's
for this match,
being passionate about it.
For this match, while I would love to see Alexa win because I'm a big time Alexa Bliss fan, like I like her a lot. I think Charlotte retains. I think whoever's going to take it off of Charlotte, I think it will be a bigger, not saying bigger than Alexa in totality, but it will be a bigger story than what they're doing now.
So you and Jensen agree on that again. That's going to be interesting.
Hopefully we don't agree on everything. But
I know, right? But great minds think alike. That's like the saying goes. I'm hoping with my pick, I'm the difference than everybody, So
I wouldn't be upset if your pick comes true, though. I would not be upset.
I wouldn't mind it. At least, if Pluggo would turn around and be like, hey, look, Throwback lost one match or something. and the reason being is I'm on this too is because of the fact that, I, as the proprietor of the title and the tournament and stuff like that, giving this out to the community, I don't get the option to host these. So I grabbed the chance and I figured, why not do it with the person that's from my area that gets everything, that understands our lingo, which, love Pluggo and all, but sometimes he doesn't know certain masshole terms. So, which is true, right?
Yeah. I mean, we got regional stuff. I usually try to avoid it because I don't know if he'll get it, so I usually don't. I try not to, I don't know. I feel like the Massachusetts part of me doesn't come out as much when I'm on. The accent might from time to time and the way I pronounce some things, but like the terms or like kind of the the lingo, like because I'm mainly on with people that aren't from Massachusetts or even New England. Most of the time I'm on with people that aren't even from the United States besides Pluggo. You know what I mean?
This is refreshing that you could actually let loose and just actually let all that stuff. I mean, you never know. You're going to win, and then Pluggo will have a pisser of a time going through everything.
Yeah, it would be a wicked pisser.
Yeah. Other than that, we're going to keep going and keep doing it. But yeah, you and Jensen agree on that too. Since we mentioned Becky, this match, other than the Alexa Charlotte match, I think is probably lining up to probably be close for the match of the year, one of those candidates, because of the talent in this match in general, which is Becky and Bianca Belair. I honestly think that the majority thinks that Bianca might pull this out, and a lot of people are in the camp Becky. I have a wrench in this. I think Sasha comes back here.
Really?
And that would make
inserts herself in the match?
And gets that match DQ'd and thrown out. And somewhere, shape, or form, she'll come back and they'll try to set up something long term, because we got another pay-per-view coming up in October. And then we have Crown Jewel, which is also, and then Survivor Series. So a match like that magnitude, where Sasha just puts her presence in there and stuff like that, it could set up something long term for Survivor Series if done right, and WWE has a problem with that. But if not, and they don't have her come back and they run this back in on the next pay-per-view, I mean, Becky's going to retain.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one because I really want Bianca to win it back. But I'm leaning that probably doesn't happen, but I think it should. I think and again, don't get me wrong, like Becky Lynch being back is amazing. And it's early, you got to see where it goes, but I'm not digging the heel thing here. I think she was just loved. Like, why can't she just come back and be loved? So I'm not saying that Becky's gonna kill it, because she's very good. She's gonna she's gonna kill it and it's gonna be good. But I don't want to boo Becky Lynch. I want to cheer Becky Lynch. So it's kind of, I don't know. And I really love Bianca, but I am going to say that Becky will retain. That is my pick. But I really want Bianca to win. But I'm trying to win this tournament, and you can't always just go. Sometimes you got to use your head.
Well, you and Jensen are 3 for 3. I can tell you that much, my friend.
Yeah.
It like I said, great minds think alike also. But yeah, Becky, if they're going to do this right, Becky's going to retain it. They'll run it back again on the next pay-per-view anyways. And then Survivor Series will happen, and then there'll be a triple threat, because they have to also think about what's coming up at Royal Rumble in between that time frame too. This card is still being developed, obviously, so I'm going to throw a match in there that from Friday Night SmackDown that could possibly be announced this week on Friday night don't believe it's on here, but I know it'll probably end up being on here, would probably be Edge and Seth again. So this is not on any of the cards yet, and Jensen hasn't picked yet, but we'll find out, because anytime there's additional cards, you guys can make a pick. But I'll throw this on there for you and me first on the screen, since we're both on. But who do you think is going to come out of that match if they do that match?
I would lean towards Seth. I think it would be Seth. I think that Roman needs to get through Brock, right, at Crown Jewel. And then I think once he does that, I think Seth Rollins should be the next long-term challenger for Roman. They have a history together. Yes, they have a history together. They kind of cross paths a little bit near WrestleMania time. They were intertwining a little bit. At least they had a couple things where they crossed paths in the back and kind of, had small conversation and stuff like that. Yeah, I think Seth should eventually go for the title. Like it's been a while since he's been kind of up there too. So
yeah,
you know what I mean? And I get it. It's Roman. Like nobody's beaten Roman, and I don't think Seth would either. But like, I feel like a Seth versus Roman feud for the title, like that would be something everyone would be like, yeah.
That would be a Royal Rumble match that I could actually see.
I think, So, but I don't think Seth gets there right. And again, we're talking about WWE booking. They can literally, all Seth has to do is win a match and he's the number one contender. You know, like that's how they book things sometimes. So like anything can happen anytime. But I would think you would want Seth to be looking like $1 million if he's heading that way. And I think you can do a cool story with Seth beating Edge and kind of winning the series against Edge, and then Edge kind of questioning if he still has it a little bit because he's older. And then you could kind of, add that little wrinkle to his I would love to see a heel Edge soon. I know he's going to get a pop everywhere because he's Edge and we haven't seen him. A lot of people still haven't seen him because COVID happened like right after he came back.
Yeah.
So like people still want to see Edge for that first time again and be like, yo, like that's friggin' Edge. But I would like to see a heel Edge sooner than later. I feel like
I could see that happen. I think Edge will take that match if it happens, but it will like the whole mentality is Seth being a dangerous Seth. It's just like the same thing if you take the belt off of Roman and have him in panic mode. That's just to point out that even though he's playing the heels character, it would make him more dangerous because it's like what he's supposed to be the head of the table. He doesn't have to think, does that make the Usos the head of the table for it? And Roman's trying to chase after something that he absolutely believes that's his. I can see Edge winning this and then moving on to someone else, another talent that he wants to work with, because he does have a litany of a lot of people he wants to work with. But I could see Edge and Balor going at it.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say Finn Balor. That was the first one that popped into my head.
So I could see Edge winning, Finn getting there, and them starting off. I think Seth will get his opportunity at the Rumble, and that will set up because Survivor Series, they're going to keep having the belt for a while, and that match is very, very significant, especially. But the question is that will, how sometimes WWE will throw a wrench in the Survivor Series things like they did with NXT, the NXT invasion. They could do the same thing again. So, I mean, it's possible, but we'll find out soon enough. But I think Edge will pull out that. And if it does get announced, we'll get an update on all these picks. Yeah. It's going to be interesting because, speaking of people that Edge probably wants to work with, we have the United States Championship, which to my knowledge hasn't been defended that much as it would, like with Cena did it a lot, and a lot of other past champions would literally try to make it a forefront.
He's done a few. I think he's done a couple open challenges on Raw, but yeah, Sheamus has kind of interrupted them and kind of, kept that story going. So
yeah, and Priest, Sheamus, according to Fightful, Hardy's in this as of right now. So I mean, Priest is going to win this. You keep it on Priest for as long as possible and try to build that title back up. They're putting the same thing with Shinsuke with the IC title. They're trying to build these titles back to where they're supposed to be, which is great. And they need to do that on all their brands and stuff. But Priest wins it for me.
100%. Damian Priest is a star. That guy is he's got everything you want. He has a good size. He's good in the ring. He can talk. He looks like a cool, like badass. Great entrance, great music, and they've booked him properly. He wins almost every week. That is so essential, and it's something that we've taken for granted over the long haul because WWE is kind of 50, we're so used to somebody winning the first match and then the other person winning the second match and then then blah blah blah. We're so used to that instead of just seeing someone like Damian Priest have competitive matches every week and win every week. And then it's all right, that guy's a winner. I want to support that guy because he's a winner. You know what I mean? Yeah, I really like him. He's cool, but he also wins all the time. So I like him.
Yeah, especially with the style he has, very athletic and stuff like that.
And he's a big dude, but like to be that agile at that size, like he's a total package, man. He's got everything you want. So you got to ride him, keep that title on him, like you said, build it up. They should do the open challenges weekly on Raw, have big matches, have him defending that thing all the time, and have him just keep winning until you're ready where it's like, okay, he's ready to move up, like he's going to the main title,
main stuff,
which I don't think is really that far away. But when he's ready, I could see honestly, not if Big E's the champion, but like it's early, but I would throw Damian Priest in the handful of potential Royal Rumble winners next year. I would do that. I would say that that's a possibility as of right now.
If they're going to do the same thing they did with Bianca the year before this year, where she went all ham out there and threw everybody, but she didn't win it.
Yep.
And then the following year, I could see that happening because he went all crazy out. I think he threw out 9 people in the Rumble out.
Yep.
And he literally has got this title.
Mm-hmm.
I could see for Rumble wise, and this is future, looking out for the future of this stuff. I think Riddle and him will be one of the final two in that whole thing. But Jensen agrees with you too. You guys both have Damian Priest. You guys are all on the same mind.
You know, we're gonna have to create some tiebreakers, I think.
Well, if that match between Edge and Seth happens, like you said, Seth, what your opinion, Seth wins. If that gets added, I'm sure we'll get an update on his picks for that stuff too. We'll go differently with a different women's match, which is an oddity match, which is Liv Morgan versus Carmella. I don't know why this match is on the card, but they probably just wanted to put 2 good women that are really good. You know,
I think it's happening because SmackDown didn't have a women's match on 2 weeks in a row, and that's embarrassing. So I think they were like, you know what, we'll add another SmackDown women's match to the pay-per-view because we somehow on a 2-hour show couldn't have one match with women for 2 straight weeks. Come on.
Yeah, pretty much.
You gotta be better than that. You gotta be better than that.
So who do you have and why?
I have Liv Morgan. Not because I dislike Carmella. Carmella from Massachusetts. I like Carmella. Liv Morgan's my girl. It's Liv Morgan's time. She should have won the briefcase.
Yeah,
I'll stand by that. She should have won the briefcase. The SmackDown before the Money in the Bank, when they gave her shine, that crowd was ready. That crowd was ready to anoint her, and then they should have done it, and they didn't. And I will support Liv Morgan here on up.
I'm with you and Jensen too. You guys are like sync of each pick so far, except for that one earlier with Seth. It's going to be interesting to see what they do after Liv gets pushed. I think she should actually get drafted over and with Alexa and stuff and have them go at it for that title. And that would be an interesting thing.
Yeah. And I don't think this would end with Liv Morgan winning, right? But let's say she doesn't. Let's say she stays on SmackDown and let's say Becky retains. You would be interested in a heel Conor McGregor-ish Becky Lynch and like Liv Morgan being the underdog. You know what I mean? Like that would be a great. I think people would really get behind Liv there. I think the majority of fans would. If everyone's going to always respect and love Becky, but I think if it was done right, and here's the thing about WWE, they don't do a lot of things great, but the things they focus on that they want to be great are really great. Like they're still the WWE for a reason, right? So like if they really focus on that story and they told that story of Liv Morgan trying to take down the man, you know, like that's a
bona fide money maker right there.
Yes.
Well, Ed's literally right there saying Liv is coming along and great. So, I mean, she should have won the briefcase regardless, but I mean, it's kind of hard to distinguish between the two because if you give the briefcase the way it did with Nikki, who has been
which was fine, I love Nikki too,
which
that's
is
fine.
Perfect.
Yeah,
you have to let somebody not get it. So I mean, Liv can be that underdog for a long time, and then the next Money in the Bank or the Rumble, she could just get that due.
Yeah, I mean, you can always do it. It's fine. I just felt like you know, I was rooting for Liv going into it, and I felt like when they had that segment on that SmackDown and Liv kind of took everybody out and she stood in the ring and pointed at the briefcase, that crowd legitimately was like, yeah, yes, we're in on this. Yes. And I think they should have ran with it. I just do. Like the Nikki Cross winning was cool because everybody likes Nikki Cross. Like that was cool. I wasn't upset that she won. I was happy for her. But I felt like the crowd was ready to anoint Liv there. I think the crowd was ready for it, and the fans were. And she didn't. It's a briefcase. She got it for a year. She doesn't have to turn it in right away like Nikki did. You can figure it out. Have her hold it for a while until you find the story to do it. But I think the majority of people, including myself, were ready for Liv to kind of be viewed as, okay, that's a future. Like that's okay. She's up there now.
It's now. Yeah,
it's now.
There.
You know, and again, they like I said, with WWE booking, it could literally happen next week. Because they don't, you know what I mean? But it's just that, you know.
Well, you and, you know, Jensen agree again. This is just getting insane. Like I said, great kinds of thinking alike. This is fun. You know, the next match I think is pretty much, you know, going to be an amazing match. These guys have amazing chemistry, is the Usos and the Prophets. I'm thinking and I'm hoping, because this would make it interesting, I want the Prophets to have it and have the same idea with Roman not having the title. Make the Usos chase somebody that's legitimate. I think the only legitimate threat other than the Prophets is the New Day. And if they don't switch over, like I said, I think WWE is looking at that Fox contract and saying we need to overload that side of it and make that like the A plus, because Fox is, you know, cash is king kind of idea. But I think Prophets will take the titles and make the Usos chase after it.
Yeah. I like the Street Profits a lot. I'm a big fan of theirs. I just think that I think the Bloodline is going to be dominant for a little while longer. I think at Survivor Series, it's going to be New Day versus the Bloodline, and the Bloodline's going to have all that gold still. I just think that's going to be the visual. I wouldn't be surprised if before Survivor Series, New Day wins the Raw tag titles, and it's all the champions, 6-man tag, main event, Survivor Series, New Day, Bloodline.
That would be interesting.
That's what I think. That's where I think it's going.
And they're hinting at it anyways, too.
Yeah.
They were a little bit on Raw, and now that would be a Survivor Series match right there.
Yeah, because if the Survivor Series, all the champions go against each other. So if the tag champions and the world champions are both part of 3-man groups, okay, that's one match. Let's just have one match. It's 6-man tag, champions versus champions. There it is. New Day, Bloodline, the two biggest, most established groups. Yeah, it writes itself, you would think, hopefully.
So you and Jensen are on the same thing with the Usos, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jeez, you guys are.
We're going to run the table, man. We're running the table.
Pretty much. You guys are on point with every single pick. One of the things he put on there on his picks, and I'll read this out, is that if he's in a match, he's assuming that it'll be him and Lashley.
Yes.
And he picks E to retain. Who do you think is
I would also pick E to retain.
Wow, we got to figure a breaker on this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could tell these guys are plugged into it. Plug in that. That you guys are plugged into like the whole sense of where things can go. For me, I see things as both, you know, on screen, off screen, and just like everybody else does. But you get a better appreciation of all that stuff. What other matches do you see? Do you see like Shinsuke getting an attitude for the IC title? I mean, this card is really short for
it is. And my thing is, okay, so besides the length of the card, have they announced that any of these matches have stipulations?
No, not yet.
Yeah, because it's Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
And all the matches, not one of them have Extreme Rules.
Which is very, very weird.
Yeah, like the show means usually. Now, I'm not against them having some regular matches. I don't think every match needs to have an extreme stipulation. You can have regular wrestling matches on your Extreme Rules card, in my opinion. However, they haven't announced any special things. So they need to do that, first of all. Or are they going to have Extreme Rules and just have no Extreme Rules matches?
It could
or
be a
weapons
possibility
matches or
that
anything, you know?
they turn around and make that Becky
maybe
Belair match like a steel cage match or something like that.
You got to figure it out though, because it's literally we got one show left until the pay-per-view. So if you haven't announced any of the stipulation, you got to at some point. Unless then you shouldn't be calling the show Extreme Rules. It should be something else. You know?
The Clash of Champions, like originally, and I'll break the fourth wall on this. These guys' match was originally supposed to be if there was a Clash of Champions, but when I was looking at the schedule from last year to match this year, it was kind of off because we didn't know what Crown Jewel was. So everything worked out in the end too. But you guys are like mirror image on each other, except for that Seth pick. So we'll see if that match gets added to as a Friday night and if things change. But talk a little bit about Massachusetts, because you're a busy boy between what you do for a living.
Yeah.
All the war report, between two beers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's interesting to actually have somebody that's in my backyard, your backyard, Ed's backyard, to actually sit and talk about this stuff compared to like nothing. Pluggo being in the Midwest, Spencer being up in Canada, stuff like that. Everybody we are friends with and we care about and stuff like that in this community are in different areas of the war or the country and the world. So for you as a kid, who was your favorite Massachusetts or New England based wrestler?
Oh boy, when I was a kid, there weren't many. I felt like when I'm in my mid-30s, so
oh great, I think I need a walker and cane.
I'm in my mid-30s, so like I started watching wrestling like early 90s, like right before Bret Hart became world champion. Like he was still in the IC mix when I started watching. Like the first wrestling event I remember vividly is the 1992 SummerSlam at Wembley Stadium. Like that's the first pay-per-view I can remember being like, I watched that. I was 7 probably. It was August. Yeah, 7, whatever. But that's the first special event. And I might not have even watched it live. I might have rented it from video stores when those were a thing back then.
Yeah.
My parents would go, when Friday night, my parents would go rent their movie of the night and they would let me rent a video game. And then I would hound them. Can I rent a wrestling tape? Please. And they were usually cheaper than everything else because who the F is renting a wrestling tape? This 8-year-old nerd is renting a wrestling tape. And I was like, let me rent one. And I would rent all the old, like, 89 Survivor Series, 90 Rumble. Like, I would rent them all. That's how the network wasn't around back then. That's how I learned the history or the WWE, WWF back then, history of it. But SummerSlam 92 was the first event that I remember, like, it feels like it was real time. And I was like, yeah, this is crazy. Like this event is huge, but back then, Massachusetts, I was too young to know who was from when. Man, I mean, I feel like maybe I'll ask you, like, I'm probably just drawing a blank that people were actually from Massachusetts. Like, obviously, like Killer Kowalski, like Triple H was from New Hampshire. That was close. China as well. And then it got later. Like the people that I know from Massachusetts now are like Kofi and Sasha and Mike Bennett, Mike Bennett, Matt Taven, Josh Briggs, who's now on NXT 2.0, Ramsey Casa, like those are the guys that I watched locally on the Massachusetts ring of, I know
chaotic
and stuff like that. But yeah, I think in my wrestling, I never really looked at where they were from as like I don't know. It's weird. I can't really think of any. I don't know. Like who would be your favorite from
Kowalski?
Yeah.
Kowalski.
I feel like that's the guy. I feel like he's the legend. He's the legendary, like he's the Massachusetts wrestling guy. He trained everyone from around here too that ever like early on, like he was the main trainer of all these next, level people. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of wrestlers from Massachusetts, a ton. Yeah. I personally think the best one ever it's Sasha, right? No, it's John Cena. It's Cena. Duh.
People a lot
But
of people
Sasha
will see
is
Cena,
damn
but
good.
if you and you've seen these, and go look it up. Go look up Chaotic. They have a Twitch in there, and if they're on right now, we'll raid them. But I think Sasha's the best wrestler pound for pound from this state, and
I think so.
The matches she had and the early stuff she had in Chaotic as Mercedes KV, hell, they wrestled at La Hacha Park.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you could wrestle in a ballpark early in your career in that setup, you could probably be comfortable enough to be in front of like Wembley Stadium if they ever did it like that.
Yeah.
So for me, Sasha for pound, but all time over,
Cena, right?
It'll be Cena when hands down, but I think Sasha will be it. But if you had to say, from when my first experience was, I was always told about Kowalski.
Yeah.
And
my grandfather told me about Kowalski.
Yeah,
like exactly. Like when I would watch wrestling on Saturday afternoons when we went to my Nana and Papa's for lunch or something. We called it dinner, even though it was lunch. But like we would go for Saturday dinner, and we would go to my Nana and Papa's, and wrestling would be on because it was on in the afternoons back then. And my grandfather would be like, "Oh, he would mention Killer Kowalski, from Master, and like it was like part of the staple of like, oh, you're from Massachusetts, yeah, Killer Kowalski." Okay, cool.
You're a wrestling fan in this, and you were around this state the first people when you mentioned, oh, it's the Kowalski thing.
Yeah. And I think, he was kind of our regional guy, so.
He was, until like Hunter came along, he was pretty much, one of those things where it was just like, you knew, and this is when kayfabe was live, when they announced Hunter as Greenwich, Connecticut, you didn't find out he was from Massachusetts until like some of with the internet coming out, people dug into it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, I think if you had to like this generation's version before Sasha, that gap one, it was Kofi.
Mm-hmm.
But the story of Kofi, if they did an in-depth biography on Kofi's life, it would be insanely good. And a lot of people shouldn't sleep on his amateur background. The guy was a state champion. I mean, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't talk about it, but they did in the documentary they did for him. I think Kowalski's it. If you look at the list, I think Kowalski trained these people. He wrestled in Massachusetts. The state has a huge glory, and people don't understand it. This state has a great wrestling history. It's and it's insane about it.
Yeah, I'm looking up to get a list right now. So, like there's a lot of. Let's see here, Massachusetts. It does. I mean, Kowalski's the guy. Tommaso Ciampa's from Massachusetts. That's a good one. Sasha, Kofi, Carmella that we mentioned earlier, Cena. Like Massachusetts has a pretty good history. Matt Bloom, who was, Albert Tensai, now he, the trainer down in NXT. He's from Massachusetts. And then you got the indie guys like we talked about, like Mike Bennett, who's awesome. Like Matt Taven, who's a great guy, awesome. Like there's a lot of
still waters run deep, as they're saying. So
100%.
Or better yet, the Charles River runs deep in some of these people.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I know you have to get ready for NXT because of all the stuff you have to cover. I want to say thank you very much to both of you. If there's any other matches up, we'll update it, and you can send the pics to me, and I'll send them to Tad. But this was honestly an honor, dude. It was fun. I hope actually like you and me can hang out because we're not where we are. We're not, you, me, and Ed are not far from each other, basically.
Yeah.
But and just talk about this, and it doesn't have to be on camera. We could just be geeks about it like we always are. But tale of two between two beers. I get happy. I get used to saying certain things, but between two beards is killer. What you guys do, like I said, I love wrestling, is awesome. So go ahead and plug your stuff, dude.
Yeah, dude, I actually got a lot of stuff this week. So I'm obviously doing this tonight. Tomorrow night, that will be mine soon. That will be mine soon. And I'll actually, like you said, because we're close to each other, I'll be able to like actually take it from, you'll hand it to me and I'll get to keep it until next year when I retain. But anyway,
until after the 90-day rule and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So yes, we do Between Two Beards, me and Pluggo, who I know people on your channel know. We do Between Two Beards every Thursday. It's usually at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, except on the last Thursday of the month, it's at 8 because Love Wrestling, we do Quizplex at 9 on those. That's like our trivia show. But this week also, I am doing, so tomorrow night is AEW Grand Slam, which is lining up to be quite the show. So my buddy Matt, who I host the War Report, and I now do the AEW version called the Weekend Elite Report. We are doing a live watch along on Love Wrestling for Dynamite Grand Slam. And on Friday, we're also doing a live watch along for the 2-hour special of AEW Rampage. So everyone's going to be real annoyed with how much they see me this week because they saw me on here tonight. They get to see me on a watch along tomorrow. I'm doing Between Two Beards on Thursday. Plus, I'm doing another show earlier in the day on Thursday. And then I'm doing a watch along on Friday. And then I'm off the weekend because my baby sister's getting married. So congratulations.
Yeah.
So,
and then I'm going to plug Jensen stuff. He does a show with, Jesse Davin week at times. So go check them out. Go check out Fight Talk _ on his Twitch. And also check him out on his Twitter. He does stuff on the weekender for Fightful and stuff. He is also, and I was going to tell you this too, he is a contributor to the Wicked Crazy Pinfalls Facebook group. So check that stuff out too. It's great information on there. Spencer puts stuff in there. Pluggo puts stuff on there. So other than that, for me, you'll see me Thursday with Ed Fried and the original Crazy Crew like usual. Other than that, I want to say this again. It was an honor. I wouldn't mind doing this again real soon with you and me just shooting the shit and stuff. So do a good deed, pay it forward. Extreme Rules. Let's see who wins. Let's see who gets at it.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident. So
have a good night.
Thanks for having me, man.